Flight 318 leaves Seattle under a gray morning sky, beginning an ordinary journey that will become unforgettable.
We're here! Help us!
The pilot laughed at Emma Carter's warning and said, "Madam, I fly the plane." Flight 318 took off from Seattle to Miami. 37 minutes later, an emergency started screaming in the sky. Then the plane crashed. But when the rescue team arrived, everyone was alive. And Emma's final line was recorded in the black box. When the rescue team cut open the broken belly of Flight 318, they expected silence. Instead they heard a baby crying. Then coughing. Then someone screaming, "We're alive." 186 passengers had survived a crash that should have erased them from the sky. But when investigators recovered the black box, one line made every person in the room stop breathing. It was Emma Carter's voice. "Come, steady. Almost impossible. Captain, your pride is heavier than this plane." 37 minutes earlier, Flight 318 had lifted out of Seattle, headed for Miami under a gray morning sky. Emma Carter sat in 14A by the wing wearing a navy blazer, a simple watch and the quiet expression of someone who noticed things other people missed. Across the aisle, a little boy named Noah pressed his toy airplane against the window. "Do you like flying?" he asked her. Emma smiled. "Only when the plane sounds honest." His mother laughed nervously. "What does that mean?" Before Emma could answer, the left wing gave a tiny shudder. Not turbulence. Not wind. A rhythm. Emma's smile faded. She looked at the wing. Then at the overhead panel. Then at her watch. 3 seconds. Shudder. 9 seconds. Shudder. Her hand tightened around the armrest. A flight attendant named Melissa walked past and Emma gently touched her sleeve. "Please tell the captain there's a repeating vibration on the left side," Emma said. "It's not air. It's mechanical." Melissa blinked. "Are you a pilot?" "No," Emma said. "I used to investigate why planes didn't make it home." That was enough to wipe the smile off Melissa's face. 5 minutes later, the cockpit door opened and Captain Daniel Briggs stepped out. Silver hair. Confident jaw. The kind of man who had been obeyed so long he forgot warnings could come from outside a uniform. He leaned over Emma's row. "Ma'am, my crew tells me you're concerned." Emma looked straight at him. "The left engine isn't responding cleanly. The vibration is cycling. You need to turn back before you climb over the storm line." A few passengers turned. Captain Briggs gave a polite little laugh. "Madam, I fly the plane." Emma didn't raise her voice. "Then listen to it." His smile vanished. "We have normal instruments." "No," Emma said. "You have normal numbers. That isn't the same thing." He stared at her for one more second, then returned to the cockpit. And the plane kept climbing. "Here is the first question. If you were Emma and a captain laughed at your warning in front of everyone, would you speak again, or stay silent to protect your pride?" At minute 21 the cabin lights flickered. At minute 23 the seatbelt sign chimed without warning. At minute 25, Flight 318 dropped so hard that coffee hit the ceiling. People screamed. Noah's toy airplane flew from his hand and landed in the aisle. The captain's voice cracked through the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've encountered unexpected turbulence. Please remain calm." Emma looked out the window. The wing was trembling now. Not a shudder. A warning. Then came the bang. It was deep, metallic and wrong. The left side of the plane dipped violently. Oxygen masks fell like yellow ghosts. A man in first class shouted that he saw fire. A woman began praying. A phone slipped from someone's hand and slid down the aisle like the plane had already become a hill. Melissa ran toward Emma, pale and shaking. "He wants you in the cockpit," she whispered. Emma unbuckled. The plane dropped again. This time longer. Her shoulder slammed into a seat. Someone grabbed her wrist and begged, "Are we going to die?" Emma looked at the passengers. Noah was crying. His mother had both arms around him. An elderly veteran across the aisle had his eyes closed, whispering the Lord's Prayer. Emma said, "Not if they stop fighting the plane." When she entered the cockpit, Captain Briggs was no longer smiling. Warning lights flashed red across the panels. The first officer had sweat running down his temple. "We lost clean thrust on the left," the first officer said. "Storm cell ahead." Autopilot kicked off twice. Emma stared through the windshield. Black clouds swallowed the horizon. Lightning ripped across the sky. The aircraft lurched and every alarm seemed to scream at once. Captain Briggs snapped. You said you investigated crashes. What am I missing? Emma saw it in one glance. The captain was trying to save altitude. The plane wanted speed. And between ego and physics was winning. You're pulling against a dying wing, Emma said. You keep forcing the nose up, you stall. You stall in that storm, nobody walks away. The first officer whispered, Captain. Briggs barked, we can make Charleston. No, Emma said. You can make water. The cockpit went silent except for the alarms. Below them, through torn clouds, was a strip of Atlantic water near the Carolina coast, rough, gray, and terrifying. Captain Briggs shook his head. A water landing in this condition will break us apart. Emma stepped closer. Not if you stop trying to arrive like a hero and start falling like a survivor. Another explosion shook the left side. The plane rolled. Passengers screamed behind the cockpit door. Melissa's voice came over the interphone, crying, Captain, people are being thrown from their seats. The first officer shouted, We're losing hydraulics. Briggs froze. For one deadly second, the man who had mocked Emma Carter had no command left in his body. Emma grabbed the headset. Captain, she said, quieter now. Every second you protect your pride, someone back there pays for it. His hands trembled. Then he let the nose fall. Flight 318 dove toward the ocean. The screams became one sound. The sky disappeared. The water rose like a wall. Emma pressed the interphone button and spoke to the cabin. Brace low. Hold tight. Do not look for the impact. Listen for the next breath. Noah's mother covered his head. Melissa dropped to the floor and locked her arms around a jump seat. The veteran opened his eyes. Captain Briggs whispered, God help us. Emma looked at the altimeter. Then the water. Then the captain. Now, she said. The plane hit. Not like landing. Like the world breaking. Metal screamed. Windows burst white. Luggage exploded from bins. The tail slapped sideways. The left wing tore away in a mountain of spray. The cabin went dark, then blue, then dark again. For 7 seconds nobody knew if they were alive. Then Noah coughed. His mother gasped. Someone shouted, Open the exits. Water poured in at the rear, but the front fuselage stayed tilted upward, floating just long enough for rafts to deploy. Passengers crawled, cried, pushed, prayed. Melissa dragged 2 strangers out by their collars. The veteran carried Noah to a raft with one bleeding hand. Captain Briggs stumbled from the cockpit last. Emma did not come out. When rescuers arrived, they found her still strapped into the cockpit jump seat. Injured, barely conscious, but alive. Captain Briggs sat beside her in the rescue boat, unable to look at her. Finally, he said, I should have listened. Emma opened her eyes. No, she whispered. You should have respected the warning before it had to become a miracle. The second question is this. Who was the real hero of Flight 318? The captain with the title or the woman everyone ignored until the sky started falling? 3 weeks later, the final report said Flight 318 survived because of one decision. The captain stopped fighting the aircraft and followed Emma Carter's emergency judgment at the last possible moment. But America remembered something else. They remembered the black box. The alarms. The captain breathing hard. And Emma's final recorded line before impact. Captain, your pride is heavier than this plane. The moral is simple. The voice that saves your life may not come from the person with the highest rank. Sometimes it comes from the person everyone underestimated. So listen before life has to scream. If this story kept you watching, like the video, subscribe for more powerful stories and comment below. Would you have listened to Emma before it was too late?